Lila Parker tightened her coat as she stepped out of St. Luke's Hospital for the last time, her heart pounding with disbelief. 5 years of dedication gone in a single conversation. "We appreciate your service, but due to budget cuts." The words from her supervisor echoed in her mind like a cruel joke. She had been a nurse through the worst of times, overtime shifts, sleepless nights, holding the hands of patients who had no one else. And this was her reward? A termination letter. Tears burned in her eyes, but she swallowed them down. Breaking down wouldn't pay the rent, wouldn't fix the reality of being jobless in a city like New York, where life moved fast and didn't stop for anyone. As she walked through the bustling streets of Manhattan, the crisp autumn air felt heavier than usual. She barely noticed the crowd gathering near the sidewalk until she heard the panic in their voices. "Somebody help him!" Lila's head snapped up. A man was collapsed on the pavement, his face pale, his chest still. Instinct took over. Pushing through the bystanders, she dropped to her knees, fingers to his neck. Weak pulse, shallow breaths. His life hung by a thread. Without hesitation, she started CPR. The world around her blurred. No job, no future, no uncertainty. Just her training, her purpose. 1, 2, 3. She counted, pressing his chest. Minutes felt like hours. Then, his body jerked. A sharp gasp tore through his lungs. The crowd erupted in relieved murmurs. Lila exhaled, her hands trembling. She had saved him. That was all that mattered. She didn't wait for gratitude, didn't stay for the paramedics, just turned and walked away, unaware that in the next 24 hours, her life would change in ways she never imagined. Her mind replayed the moment over and over. The man on the pavement, his still body, the way he gasped for air when she brought him back. She had done what any nurse would do, yet something about it felt different. Morning sunlight streamed through her tiny apartment window as she sat at the kitchen table, staring at the stack of unpaid bills. Rent was due in a week. Her savings wouldn't last long. And job hunting? That could take months. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Is this Lila Parker?" A deep, polished voice asked. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My name is Daniel Hartwell. You saved my father's life yesterday." Lila's grip on the phone tightened. She hadn't even seen the man's face properly, just the desperate need to act. How is he?" she asked. "He's stable, thanks to you." There was a pause. "I'd like to meet you." Lila frowned. "That's not necessary. I was just—" "Please," Daniel interrupted. "You don't understand. You saved a very important man. I need to see you." Before she could argue, he added an address, an upscale cafe in Midtown Manhattan, the kind of place she'd never afford. 2 hours later, Lila walked into the cafe, her worn-out shoes and thrift store coat making her feel out of place. Daniel Hartwell was already there, sitting at a corner table, tall, well-dressed, sharp eyes that studied her with an intensity that made her uneasy. "I'm grateful for what you did," he said as she sat down. "But I need to ask, why did you walk away?" Lila shifted uncomfortably. "I'm a nurse. Saving people is what I do." Daniel leaned forward. "You didn't know who he was, did you?" She shook her head. "My father is Victor Hartwell, Chief Executive Officer of Hartwell Enterprises, one of the wealthiest men in New York." Lila blinked. The name sounded vaguely familiar, but she never paid attention to billionaires. Daniel smiled slightly. "He doesn't just owe you his life. I do too." Before Lila could respond, he slid an envelope across the table. "Consider this a token of gratitude." She hesitated before opening it. Her breath hitched. A check for $250,000. Her heart pounded. This wasn't happening. I can't take this," she stammered. Daniel's expression turned serious. "You can, and you should. But that's not all." Lila looked at him wearily. "What do you mean?" Daniel leaned back. "Let's just say this is only the beginning." At that moment, she had no idea how right he was. Lila stared at the check in her trembling hands. $250,000. It was more money than she had ever seen in her life. Rent, bills, groceries. This could solve everything. But something inside her hesitated. She placed the envelope back on the table and looked Daniel in the eye. I appreciate this, but I didn't save your father for a reward. Daniel studied her, then chuckled softly. I figured you'd say that. But this isn't charity, Lila. It's gratitude. She exhaled. The logical part of her brain screamed to take the money. Her situation was desperate. But before she could decide, Daniel spoke again. I told you, this is just the beginning. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black card, sliding it across the table. Come to this address tomorrow morning at 9. My father wants to meet you. Lila hesitated. Everything about this felt surreal, but curiosity gnawed at her. What exactly was she walking into? The next morning, Lila took the subway uptown, gripping the black card in her hands. It led her to a towering glass skyscraper with the name Hartwell Enterprises in bold letters. Inside, the lobby was pristine. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, men in sharp suits and women in elegant dresses. Lila suddenly felt out of place in her simple blouse and coat. A receptionist greeted her. Miss Parker? Mr. Hartwell is expecting you. She was led into a private elevator that shot up to the top floor. When the doors opened, she stepped into a breathtaking office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the New York skyline. And there he was, Victor Hartwell, seated in a massive leather chair, the man she had saved. His silver hair was neatly combed, his suit impeccable, but his eyes, sharp and calculating, watched her with quiet intensity. You must be Lila Parker, he said, his voice deep and commanding. Yes, sir, she replied, suddenly feeling small under his gaze. Victor motioned for her to sit. I owe you my life. Lila shook her head. I was just doing what any nurse would do. Victor smirked. Most people would have walked away. You didn't. That tells me something about you. Lila swallowed. I wasn't expecting anything in return. Victor nodded slowly. And that's exactly why I want to offer you something. Lila tensed. Offer me what? Victor gestured toward Daniel, who had been standing silently by the window. My son tells me you're an exceptional nurse. Lila's brows furrowed. I lost my job. Victor waved a hand dismissively. Their loss, but my gain. He paused. I want you to work for me. Lila's heart skipped a beat. Work for you? As what? Victor's lips curled into a knowing smile. As my personal medical advisor, live-in, full benefits, triple what you were making before? Lila's breath caught. Was this really happening? I don't know what to say. Say yes, Daniel interjected. Lila glanced between father and son. Something about this still felt too good to be true. But before she could respond, Victor leaned back and smirked. Take the night to think about it. But trust me, you won't regret it. Little did Lila know, this decision would change her life forever. Lila's hands trembled as she reached for the letter that the man had handed her. The envelope was thick, embossed with gold, and had an air of importance. Her heart pounded as she unfolded the paper inside. Dear Miss Lila Parker, we are honored to inform you that you have been selected as the recipient of the Preston Humanitarian Award for your exceptional act of selflessness. Along with this award, you will receive a $500,000 grant to continue your work in saving lives and assisting those in need. Your kindness has inspired not just one life, but countless others. We hope this reward helps you build the future you deserve. With gratitude, the Preston Foundation tears streamed down Lila's face. Her entire world had flipped in the past 24 hours, from losing her job to saving a man's life, and now this, a life-changing opportunity. The 4 luxury cars outside weren't just for show. They belonged to representatives from major hospitals and organizations who wanted to hire her, support her, and be part of her journey. One of them, a woman in a navy blue business suit, stepped forward. Miss Parker, I'm Dr. Emily Sanders from St. John's Medical Center. We would be honored if you joined our hospital. Name your position, name your salary. We want you on our team. Another man, tall and serious-looking, stepped in. I represent a private medical institution that supports independent clinics. If you're interested, we can fund your own practice. Lila was speechless. Just yesterday, she had no job, no hope, No clear direction. And now, doors were opening in ways she never imagined. She turned to Mr. Preston, who was watching her with a knowing smile. "Why are you doing this for me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He chuckled softly. "Because Lila, when I was gasping for my last breath, you didn't see a wealthy man. You just saw a human in need. The world needs more people like you, and I won't let someone like you go unnoticed." Lila took a deep breath, looking at the people around her. She had spent years caring for others, sacrificing, giving everything she had without expecting anything in return. And now life was finally giving back. With gratitude in her heart and a newfound sense of purpose, she smiled through her tears and whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning."